So here's the thing, right? You like money. I like money. I think everybody likes money. We like money. Money is good. We like money. But you know who really, really likes money? Indeed. EA likes money. When you say you like money, you don't like money to the degree that EA likes money. No, EA likes money much, much more than you could ever imagine. Now, when you take a look at EA's history, you know just how money-driven they are. They are completely reliant on their investors, and they bend over backwards for their investors, and they try to make their investors really happy all the time, every year. Whenever they can, they want to make their investors happy. And I mean, you know, they are a company. They are a publicly traded company. In order to get investors, they have to please them and make them happy. And the thing is, EA has this track record of coming up with ideas and plans and pushing them, and then they fall flat on their face and, you know, they get laughed at and everybody's clowning on them. You know, it's possible that we might see the end of this soon, because apparently they are discussing plans. They're in open discussion of getting acquired or bought out for roughly $50 billion. You heard that right? 50 billion with a B. That's heckin' a lot of money. And the thing is, when you look at this from like a, you know, I just woke up to this though, right? And I was like, oh, you know, okay, why not? You know, they're going private. That's okay, I guess, because that means less reliance on investors. That means less having to follow or create trends to make more money, inserting more live service stuff into their games. Oh, this could be a good thing. But then when I read about it, I was like, oh shit. I don't know how to feel about this anymore, because the ones that want to acquire EA is the Saudi Arabian Investment Fund. For anyone who has like a history with these guys, like who know who they are, you might be going, oh snap, that's not that's not great. The thing is, when you say Saudi Arabia and you combine that with a Western company like EA, you start thinking, wait, that doesn't math here, right? Because let's just say Saudi Arabia does not have the greatest track record of human rights. I'm not going to get into too much about that, but like, it's raising some eyebrows across the industry, because this just does not seem like it's, you know, it doesn't compute. Why would you be acquired by? But okay, let's look at this a little closer. Who are the Saudi Arabian Investment Fund? Well, apparently they have invested in other companies as well, like Nintendo and other gaming publishers, and they do have a small hand all across the industry. And apparently they are not very, you know, they're not super controlling in that way where you would assume that they are. They don't force things to be a certain way, because apparently they know that would backfire heavily, you know, because they are like acquiring or they're investing in Western games and such. So, you know, when you look at it a little bit closer, it's not as scary as when you read the headlines. However, there is some risk to this, because they are looking to acquire the entirety of EA, not just invest in them, right? Because they have investments across the industry, as I mentioned, but they want to buy out EA. And this is like a huge, massive deal. This is like the biggest, you know, acquisition in recent memory that I can think of. So, you know, what happens after a Saudi Arabian investment fund like acquires EA? Because at that point, when you've acquired something, they're going to want to get the value, you know, out of their purchase. So the question is, will they start trying to influence what EA does? And so the question becomes, okay, but are the investors really that bad when you compare it to getting like bought out by a investment fund that makes people go like, okay, but how does that mesh together with the creative freedom of the studios? For example, I mean, you know, put one and one together or two together and you think, okay, but what about BioWare? What happens to that? what happens to BioWare in case we have a Saudi Arabian like entity now controlling the company that they are owned by, which have a very different, they generally have a different way of looking at things in Saudi Arabia than they have, for example, in Canada. So it's like, okay, but how does that mesh? This is quite a interesting thing. I don't know where this is, how, what? It like sort of doesn't really make sense. But then again, the Saudi Arabian investment fund has been trying to get more and more into gaming, and they want to apparently diversify and getting into the global stage and not just deal with oil, because we know that's a thing that Saudi Arabia deals with a lot. It's oil, but now they want to get into gaming, and so buying EA would essentially let them take a center stage in a lot of ways. But it's just like, okay, but that does, because I mean, I am genuinely like surprised by this. I did not think that EA would go that route, but then again, I'm not exactly surprised when I really think about it, because I mean, it is EA. They do like money, and $50 billion, that is money. That is a lot of money. And so, so it's like, I don't know. I also kind of had to stand for this to like get my mind going, because I'm just kind of baffled at this choice. And apparently it looks like this could start into next week. So I'm recording this on a Saturday, so it's possible that they're gonna get this deal done until like next week. And it's whoa, okay, what's gonna happen now then? I do think that a lot of people are a little too spooked right now on, for example, Twitter. People are like flipping out. I think we should hold off and see where this goes, because at the end of the day, like, we can't do anything about it. If they have, already done the deal, then it's already done. You can't really do anything about it there, but it's like, it's still like, okay, this is wild. This is weird. This is wild. What is that going to mean for Mass Effect? I know a lot of people are going to ask that question. Okay, but does that mean that they're going to try to influence BioWare to do certain things? I don't think so, mainly because they have generally only been put out different versions of games that they have vested interest in their countries. So they haven't affected, as far as I know, other games outside. But then again, it's possible that they're going to start doing that, and then we're going to see a heavily watered down Mass Effect. I really hope we don't. That would suck ass. But this is just a cultural clash, I guess, in a sense. I know I don't talk about that much, but this is just clashing in my head. Like, how does this make sense? Because I think most people on the Western Hemisphere are going to be like, huh? But then again, if they can just let EA do their thing and be more creative, I guess. Let EA do their own decisions, which, let BioWare do their own decisions, then sure, but we don't know. There's a certain risk in this, and where, this could go either way. So I hope that's where they're going with this deal. Like, you gotta let them do their thing, because otherwise it's like, okay, but do we really want them to influence exactly what EA's companies are doing, like what their studios are doing with their games? I don't know, man. I think gamers are enough in terms of, influencing where things should go and where things should not go, and what we like and what we don't like. At this point, it feels like they've just changed masters, essentially. They're just owned instead of their investors. They're owned by an investment company or investment fund that is literally buying them up. So yeah, I don't know, Matt. I just wanted to talk about this for a minute, because it's like, whoa, okay. I don't know what to make of this. Honestly, this is weird. We'll have to see where it goes. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, as always, because, I imagine there's going to be kind of a battlefield here, but let's try to keep it respectful and nice. But it is kind of insane. This has been Mr. Alton, signing off.